Hello guys, so currently gaming and metaverse projects are on the rise and everything around them getting pretty crazy. So now we have a pleasure to have an interview with Michael Wagner, co-founder of Star Atlas. It's next generation gaming metaverse. Nice to meet with you, Michael.
Likewise, Anna, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so can you tell us about your background and how did you get into crypto and blockchain gaming?
Sure, I have quite an extended background in crypto. My formal career was in traditional finance, working in capital markets as a CFA charter holder, so portfolio manager and an investment and securities analyst. I got introduced to crypto through script coin mining in 2013. So this is leveraging compute power and GPUs to secure networks and as a result earn cryptocurrencies. Really bad timing, to be honest. This kind of immediately preceded the bear cycle that started right after the collapse of Mt. Gox in, I want to say December of 2013, or maybe it was January 2014. But I spent the next couple of years just better understanding and learning as much as I could about the space. Launched my first company in 2016 at the intersection of crypto and cannabis, providing decentralized financial infrastructure and solutions to the legal cannabis industry. Through that process, recruited and met two of the guys that went on to co-found Star Atlas with me. So that's Danny Floyd and Jacob Floyd. That's our Chief Product Officer and Chief Technology Officer, respectively. Also have an extended background and friendship with Pablo Quiroga, who's our fourth co-founder, operating as the Chief Revenue Officer. But so I had met Danny and Jacob during the operations of Tokes, the cannabis company. And in mid-2020, we were just really observing what was going on across NFTs, across blockchain gaming, and across DeFi. And we saw an enormous opportunity, given our deep background in gaming and game development and expertise in crypto markets, to create a product that would be superior to anything that existed in the space at that time and really to date. And that is a AAA mainstream grand strategy space exploration game that is enhanced by financial incentives and mechanics available through blockchain. So NFTs and crypto native assets and the integration of various DeFi primitives. And so we conceptualized that in mid 2020, debuted to the public in January of this year, and it's been a pretty wild journey ever since.
Yeah, you mentioned that your first company was in cannabis industry, and I know that a lot of people got into crypto and knew out about Bitcoin just because of buying wheat on Silk Road or something like that. And now we have gaming and as well a lot of newcomers coming into this industry through gaming. And that's pretty amazing that you just founded company so recently and now it's exploded. And can you tell us in just in few words to the audience, which is not aware yet about Star Atlas, what is Star Atlas and what's the vision behind it?
Sure, the vision is large. It's a very ambitious project. We're kind of bringing two concepts to market simultaneously. So the first of which is this AAA quality gaming experience. And the second is the metaverse component itself. Now, the metaverse can largely be considered the platform that will enable a new generation of entrepreneurs, innovators, content creators to build within these virtual worlds and provide experiences to users. Now, the first application that we're bringing to the Star Atlas metaverse is the game itself. So you can think of Star Atlas, the game, living inside Star Atlas, the universe or the metaverse. But going into the future, we see enormous potential in things like social experiences, human interaction, education, commerce, and business models that really have yet to be determined yet, all operating within the same universe, but not necessarily focused on gameplay itself. So with that said, I certainly don't want to diminish what it is that we're doing with the game. We do think that this is the main attraction. It's going to be highly engaging, very entertaining gameplay experience. And we think that will lead to a kind of a mass migration of users into the Star Atlas metaverse at the start. But from there, kind of sky is the limit, I guess you could say, in terms of what's possible.
And what does set Star Atlas apart of your competitors?
There are also a couple of things. I mean, if we focus on what's being developed in the crypto ecosystem right now, the quality and caliber of the game that we're developing is truly superior. You don't really see too many AAA games being built across the blockchain gaming space. There are a few that are emerging. So that's kind of one part is just the quality of graphical fidelity, gameplay mechanics, lore, story, plot, all of these things that we're putting into the gameplay itself. That's a major differentiator. Now, contrasting us with the traditional gaming industry that, these studios that have been building AAA games forever, they do not have the expertise and experience of operating across decentralized economies. And so we do. We've, as I said, we've launched companies in the past. We've operated in the space a long time, and we understand how to design economics and token economics in a way that leads to a sustainable economy in the long term. And then maybe one final point just on all of this is that a major differentiator between us and other blockchain games is that we are actually building this in a fully decentralized fashion from the start, which is not only the integration of NFTs or the integration of digital assets and cryptocurrencies, which is what we see predominantly today. We're actually building game logic on chain as well. And people will get kind of the first sample of this when we launch our score mini gameplay loop in December. We're targeting a December 16th launch date on that right now. But what this will enable is a fully decentralized future of the metaverse, which is only possible if you build that logic on chain, so that anybody can participate in it, and we can move into a fully decentralized metaverse community and world.
And how many players do you have currently?
It's a good question. It's hard to say players. I don't know if we would define it as such. I can give you some metrics across our social media followings. 50,000 people in Telegram. We have greater than 250,000 people on Twitter. We have another 131,000 users in our Discord. And then one of the features that we did publish a few months ago is our faction selection and leaderboards. And so across the 3 different factions in Star Atlas, we have some 55,000 users that have selected a faction, essentially registered themselves as a gamer in anticipation of gameplay coming out. So any one of those could be used to determine the size of the community and how many players or users we ultimately will have.
And what is your plan for expansion? How do you plan to bring million users to your game?
By developing and releasing the best quality experience as possible. We certainly have marketing strategies in place that continue to enable us to grow our community, but I think one of the most powerful forces across crypto is the network effect. And I think for any company, social or otherwise, network effect is incredibly powerful. And so what we're seeing is this exposure through community and recruiting of new members as a direct result of that. Now, of course, we're active in the community. We host town halls regularly where we interact with all of the members of our community, participating in interviews like this, being at conferences, being on panels, giving presentations, all of these things. We're not heavily focused on any form of advertising at this stage, simply because we want to ensure that we have more robust gameplay mechanics available that people can actually engage with when they come to the platform. But right now, it really is just about forming community and informing people of what is to come, and empowering them to whatever extent possible. One of the other large demographics that's starting to aggregate around Star Atlas is the guild community. So in our nomenclature, that's decentralized autonomous corporations. But what's really interesting about that is these are not necessarily just collectives of gamers. These are entrepreneurs. These are people that are looking at Star Atlas ecosystem as an opportunity to run a business. And they're going out and raising capital. They're minting their own NFTs. They're minting their own cryptocurrencies. They're selling that. They're raising capital, and then they're using that to purchase Star Atlas assets with the intention of operating in our metaverse, in the future as these features come about. So all of those areas are areas in which we are supporting. But it's been an amazing year for growth for us presently, and I don't anticipate it slowing down whatsoever going into next year.
So do you see the majority of your users, people who are really much into crypto, and they find it a tool of monetization, or these are just gamers who like playing games?
It's an interesting dichotomy. Kind of going back to your previous question of how are we onboarding or on-ramping new users and attracting new users, our initial go-to-market strategy was to focus on what I would kind of call the crypto native user, people who already have Web3 wallets installed like MetaMask or Phantom, people who are comfortable operating on crypto exchanges, and they're also comfortable with kind of the volatility and uncertainty of operating in this new economy. With that being said, though, just looking at the contrast between our user base in Discord and our user base in Telegram, I think is pretty informing. Telegram, in my experience, has always been the center point or centerpiece for community in crypto projects, and Discord, in contrast, is really where a lot of gamers are native. They use it for hanging out with their friends, and they also use that for in-game communication. So for us, 50,000 people on Telegram versus 130,000 on Discord implies to me that we have a larger traditional gamer base that's already following. They're interested in the potential of the game. And of course, I think, adding these concepts of play to earn or play and earn, just the simple financial mechanics that we're building into the game, is very attractive to that traditional gamer, and also offers a superior value proposition.
And from which regions are the most active community?
We're seeing really large growth in some emerging markets. So Brazil is one of our quickest growing communities, but really throughout, say, Latin America, South America, Southeast Asia, parts of India, parts of the Middle East, parts of China. These are all very rapidly growing communities for us, and I think it's largely because of the potential for financial empowerment to people in those communities. Right, we're able to offer opportunity sets that just don't exist in those geographic regions. We can eliminate the kind of the restrictions of geographic borders by providing them virtual worlds and a virtual economy to operate within. And so for them, they have much higher earning potential operating within Star Atlas than they do trying to identify and work a job in their local economy. So I think this is going to be a kind of an interesting dynamic to observe going into the future, just how disruptive this is on global economies.
Yes, it's pretty amazing how people in emerging markets, a lot of whom are just unemployed now, can find new ways of monetization through such play-to-earn games. And can you tell us how can one start playing Star Atlas? What is needed for that?
I'm sorry, how to start playing in Star Atlas? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, there's going to be a couple of different paths in. The immediate path is to simply own one of our ship NFTs. Now, we're developing out this game in a modular fashion and releasing iteratively. We're also building two formats or versions of the game. The first of which is in browser. We call this our mini game. The second version is the fully immersive world that we're building in Unreal Engine 5. Now, all initial concepts will be released in browser first. We're able to develop there on a faster timeline. And we're also able to, in a way, beta test all of the on-chain programs, the smart contracts that I referred to earlier in terms of game logic. We're able to deploy all of that in the browser faster. So the benefit to the user is that, owning a ship, for example, or when we release land and buildings and structures, owning those items will be able to produce income for the owner in the very immediate future, as early as about a week from today. And in the meantime, though, the production cycle on, high quality, fully immersive world in Unreal Engine, that's going to take significantly longer. That's at least a 5 to 7 year development cycle to really fully realize what it is that we've laid out in our white paper and our economic paper. But similarly, we'll be releasing many parts, components of that vision over time as well. So you can expect to see as early as the end of Q1 or sometime early Q2 of next year, the first concept in Unreal Engine that players can enter into in 3D space and start to interact with their objects. But more to the point, presently you have to purchase one of the NFTs. We are selling ships. You can buy the ship, you can enlist that with a faction, manage resources, and start earning Atlas as a result of that.
And how much funds does the user need to buy first space NFT?
We have ships that start in the $20 range. We have ships that go all the way into the millions of dollars of range. So it really just depends on the user and what their interest level is in the game, and whatever financial resources they have available to them.
Okay, cool. So it's pretty affordable for people who don't have yet much funds but don't want to try the game. And can you tell us why did you select exactly Solana blockchain for your game?
Quite a few reasons, and quite a lot of research went into the due diligence process on protocol of choice. There's many kind of great up and coming layer one protocols. However, for us, we looked at first and foremost the underlying tech, and Solana has very high transaction throughput. It has low latency, so sub-second finality on transaction or state changes, and then it also has very low transaction costs. We see it as really the only web scalable blockchain that exists today. And in our case, with our ambition of growing this to not only hundreds of thousands or millions of users, but really reaching out to a global audience of billions of users that would be participating inside Star Atlas in the future, it was very important for us to build on sustainable, scalable tech. And we think that's Solana. Beyond that, though, we saw a lot of potential in being an early adopter. We selected Solana in August or September of 2020 when there were a few projects being built on the protocol, something like 20 to 25 projects. And as a result of that, they were very supportive of us, particularly in the beginning, at cross-promoting this concept out to their community. So in many ways, their support and promotion of us led to the bootstrapping of our network and really helped propel us into the success that we've seen this year. Now, similarly, though, this is a very symbiotic relationship. In the future, as we attract these hundreds of millions to billions of users, they will natively land on Solana as the first interaction with blockchain. These are people that have never touched blockchain or crypto at all, and their first experience is going to be with Solana. So I think it's mutually beneficial, and we're very happy with our choice of Solana.
Was it difficult to find Rust developers at the time when you started?
Well, we weren't so much focused on recruiting Rust developers at the earliest stages. The first product that we released was our NFT marketplace. So that didn't actually rely heavily whatsoever on Rust. That was more of it's a Web 2.0 stack with the integration, though, of Web3 components like a Phantom wallet, and then also building our marketplace on Project Serum. Serum is the decentralized exchange protocol that lives on Solana. Nevertheless, those are all open source libraries, and our team was able to pull those libraries all together into our Web 2 experience and deliver the marketplace to the user. Subsequently, though, we've been hiring aggressively for Rust developers. Yes, it is challenging because there's so many opportunities that exist building on Solana right now, and I would say we've had a pretty great level of success, though, with recruiting these engineers, just because people appreciate and are passionate about the vision that we have in front of us.
And do you plan to deploy other blockchains to make your game interoperable?
No real intention of building on any other chain at this stage. I do believe interoperability is the future, but right now there's no motivation for us to develop on alternative chains. We think Solana is superior, and last thing we would want to do is have to go in and hire engineers dedicated to building in different coding languages. So recreating all of our smart contracts, on-chain programs on an alternative blockchain when it just isn't necessary right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to us.
And can you explain how does DAO work in Star Atlas, and what are the differences between a Star Atlas token and your governance policy token? What does it give to the users?
Sure. We do have operate a dual token economy. Atlas is the medium of exchange across the entire Star Atlas universe. So all earnings within the game are denominated in Atlas, as well as all of the operating costs across the game. So we've structured the operational economics to be very much like the real world. If you're piloting a ship, it's going to be exposed to operating costs as well, like refueling, feeding your crew members, repairing your ship over time. And likewise on land, while you have productive capacity and output potential, you have to pay things like land value tax, and you have to feed your crew members there. You also have to replace equipment over time as it degrades. A mining drill will not last forever. It can be used for a certain length of time, and then a new one has to be purchased and placed on your equipment if you want to continue extracting minerals from a planet or from an asteroid. So that's essentially the utility or use case of Atlas. It's also used on our marketplace to purchase ships. And then in the future, we're going to be releasing some staking mechanisms that provide various additional benefits for holders. Star Atlas DAO, denominated in the Polis token, is a fairly complicated hierarchical structure of sub-DAOs. At the highest level, the master DAO governors will be able to determine the long-term design and development of the ecosystem overall. Now, we maintain control over the DAO for the first couple of years so that we can continue to build this game and this platform per our vision and to our standards. But in the long term, stakeholders, governors, voters, and participants will be able to introduce proposals related to things like the economics, to game release schedules, well, rather game feature requests, I should say, not necessarily the schedules, and also things like inflation rates across the economy, and also determining mechanisms and campaigns that can be used to recruit new users in the future. Now, within the game, there's also a kind of a 3 DAO structure. There's a regional DAO, there's faction DAOs, and then there's also our guild system, which we call decentralized autonomous corporations. Each of those Polis is utilized for things like political strategy in game. So controlling regions, determining strategy in a region, determining tax rates, things like that.
And do you plan listings on some big exchanges soon?
We don't drive the listing process whatsoever. We already have some fantastic exchange partners. If the exchanges come to us and request information because they want to list Atlas or Polis, we're happy to assist them with that process and provide the information they're requesting. But we don't directly participate in any kind of outreach to the exchanges. Okay, so you're mostly focused on developing your game rather than pushing your token. That's right. Yeah, I mean, we're building the gameplay, the utility, the economy. That's 100% our focus. And can you share some upcoming plans for development of Star Atlas? Well, we have a really exciting release coming this month. There's been a couple of major projects that we've been focused on over the last few months. The first of which is a project that we call SCORE, Ship Commissions on Remote Expeditions. This is the first enlistment process, as I mentioned, where ship owners will be able to enlist to a faction, commit their ships to that faction, manage resources associated with their fleet, and start earning Atlas. We're anticipating that to come out on December 16th. In the next day or so, we will publish a confirmation date on release. So right now, the target date is December 16th, confirmation date coming within a day or so. We've also been focused pretty heavily on the design and development of the Star Atlas DAO. So this is, when this feature gets released, it will enable staking of Polis, earning emissions of Polis, and then in the future, will also enable users to submit those proposals and vote on those proposals that would impact the direction of development. That's pretty interesting. And do you have any partnerships with big brands currently, or do you plan to make some? Yeah, I mean, we've announced a number of great partnerships. So we've worked with entities like Shape Immersive out of Vancouver. We've worked with The Fabricant, which is focused on digital fashion. We've released some NFTs that are like pure fashion cosmetic NFTs that users will be able to outfit their avatars with. We're also working pretty closely with Animoca Brands. Animoca is a big player in the space. They're involved in a lot of metaverses, own a lot of land. And one of the really exciting things about Animoca is that they have a sizable IP estate. So they work with some of the largest brands in the world, and we're able to kind of integrate that, or there's the potential for us to integrate some of that intellectual property into the Star Atlas universe. That's cool. So we will follow your updates on your social media channels. That's great. Yeah. Definitely follow us on Twitter. There's regular content drops there. We're releasing images and concept art of the ships. Discord is one of the more robust communities. There's a lot of conversation in there. There's guild formation. There's strategy discussion. So definitely encourage everyone out there to join us on Discord. It's discord.gg/staratlas.
Thank you for a nice interview.
Thanks, Anna. This was fantastic. Thank you so much.